For the third round of the 2009 KCB Kenya National Rally Championship, competitors would sample what rallying in Kenya used to be like in the old days. It was back to rallying on open roads on a route selected to the north of Nairobi in the Dakaine Hills, where a myriad of valleys had to be crossed. This is Ian Duncan rallying on the same roads in the 1993 Safari Rally. Since acquiring a Mitsubishi Evo 9 at the beginning of the season, Carl Tundo has won the two opening rounds and held a commanding lead in the championship.
No, it's going well, and 100% record with the new car, so touch wood, 3 out of 3.
At the head of the championship, it was a team affair with Alistair Kavanagh placed second. He would be looking to knock Tundo off his pedestal on this one.
I've got to get him this time. Basically, I'll never hear the end of it. Forget the points. I couldn't even give a toss about the points. It's the rubbing up in the bar that that's getting me down. But no.
Missing from the event would be Lee Rose, but with a high entry of 39 cars, it promised to be a strongly fought race. Underneath all the hype of the rally, there was a somber atmosphere in honor of the recent loss of Farag Yusuf and Riaz Kruji. Riaz had died in a horrific accident at the KCB Pearl of Africa Uganda rally, but it was Farag Yusuf's untimely passing that would be felt most on this rally. Although Farag guided a multitude of drivers during his 26-year-long rallying career, he eventually settled into what became a solid partnership with his closest friend, Baldev Chaga.
Or the thing I'll remember the most in the car, every time he'd argue with the controller, the mic would be in his mouth, and he would scream with that loud voice, and you can't take your helmet off. And you're like, Uncle Frank, take that thing away from your mouth, then shout. And like, oh, sorry.
Farag was crowned championship navigator in 2006, but it was his second title in 2008 that he cherished the most, winning alongside his best friend.
Going to miss Yusuf, that's for sure. But he's blessed us with good memories, he's blessed us with good experience, and we're going to take that forward to the next level as much as we can.
Baldev would now be partnered by another champion navigator, Raju Semi, who had to be persuaded to return, especially following his last outing in 1998, which ended in a dramatic accident. The start of the rally was from the rural town of Thika, 40 kilometers from Nairobi.
I share in the excitement of the people of Thika, who are witnessing this exciting event to be run around Makuyu and Dakaine areas. We feel proud, very proud, that you chose to bring this rally to us.
Asad Anwar and Kashif Sheikh were the first away, driving the first of the 5 Evo 9s, all at the sharp end of the entry. There would be 9 stages making up the competitive distance of nearly 160 kilometers. Only stages 2 and 3 would be repeated, with the other 4 only tackled once. The longest section was stage 3, 32 kilometers of flat-out motoring. Being the first car on the road, Asad Anwar and Kashif Sheikh were understandably cautious. Under the circumstances, they were not committed, losing nearly 2 minutes to the others on the opening 3 stages, reaching the first service in 7th.
There were people coming out of church, walking on the road, crossing the road. We couldn't attack. We just tried to get through the stage and safely. I'm just waiting for the next rally, where we start number 6 again.
Carl Tundo and Tim Jessup were second on the road, and with Anwar having cleared the road ahead, they were driving for a win. They were fortunate on one jump not to have gone off.
And easy right, tightens and opens. Oh!
Change that, huh? Fast jump.
They were quickest over only one of the first 3 stages, but had been close enough on the others that they were now in the lead by 10 seconds.
I thought I would try and catch everyone napping, and didn't, because I was napping myself. But all in all, it's good fun. We've spun once, and had a few scares on a few jumps twice, but all good.
Baldev Chaga and new navigator Raju Semi clicked immediately and won the opening stage of the day. The early technical stages suited Baldev, but on the latter flat-out stages, the N12 was at a disadvantage, but they were still quick enough to claim second.
Okay, that last stage was not really suited for our car anyway because of the straight bits. But in the first two stages, at least, it's a bit twisty and a bit technical. There, yeah, I could say we could try and keep up with them or beat them.
Farag Yusuf may not have been there, but he was the first to be remembered. And as soon as the car arrived in service, the team stepped back for a moment's silence. Whilst the rally was mainly all about top-end speed, there was one stretch that was totally different. A mud bath that went on for nearly 200 meters. Azhar Anwar with Julius Gege are seen here getting through with no problem. They were not far off the pace of the others to claim third, only 30 seconds behind.
I'm driving nearly 100%. You know, for me, I don't know. As you can see, the boys are struggling to change a rear arm. That's totally my mistake, and I don't even know where I hit it. It's completely bent.
Surprisingly, it was Alex Horsey and Andrew Doig in fourth. This was only their second outing in the Evo 8, and with the natural talent behind the wheel, Alex was effortlessly getting through the stages. Missing from the front were Alistair Cavan and Salim Haji, whose bid for an outright win was squashed when they punctured. Having been quickest through stage 2, they had been lying second, but were now 18th. And it was now a case of seeing how much time they could recover.
I'm surprised. I don't know what we hit or where we got it because the roads are absolutely smooth. We'll be lucky to come in the top 10, I think, but we'll just keep going, but there's no point taking any risks now.
Ian Duncan and Amo Slach in the National Oil pickup were having a difficult rally, not being able to select second gear. Normally, it wouldn't be too much of a problem, but on this rally, it was essential. They were lying fifth, although this spin will have contributed to the 1.5 minutes lost.
Well, we can't find second gear at all. So we struggled on the first section and got a bit used to it on the next section, so it wasn't so bad. So
3 cars were dropped by the wayside on the opening stages. The most dramatic exit was made by Hussein Malik and George Kiama. Watch as they approach the next bend. Taking the Portland cement branding with them, they would be out just over the brow.
We just came around the corner, the car was behaving well, and all of a sudden, I think we slid off, and this is what happened. The hub just gave in. This is what happened, I don't know. Anyway, it's rallying, pole.
After the first 3 stages and 60 kilometers of competitive motoring, the leading 3 cars were separated by less than 30 seconds, with Carl Tundo holding a 10-second advantage at the front. As with all rallies in Kenya, the event was taking place in picturesque countryside. The latter stages were all located on roads surrounding the Dakaine Dam, one of the many water sources that contribute to Kenya's power grid. The dam is fed from the nearby Aberdare range of hills, one of Kenya's 6 water towers that make Kenya such a diverse and beautiful country. Down on the ground, the cars had not been reseeded, and Asad Anwar and Kashif Sheikh continued to be the first car on the road. They had a clean run, but remained in 7th. It was Carl Tundu and Tim Jessup who were setting the pace of the rally. They were quickest over 3 of the next 4 stages, increasing their lead by a further 20 seconds. Baldev Chaga and Raju Semi were chasing hard, but gaining on Tundo seemed to be impossible. They were quickest on stage 6, but had to be content with second. With the pace of the rally so fast, Azhar Anwar and Julius Gege could not make a dent on the 2 ahead, but matched their times to hold on to third. The crew on the move were Peter Horsey and Moses Matovu. This was only Peter's second outing in the Evo 9, and having got used to the handling, he was flying through the stages, moving up 2 places to 4th. Alex Horsey and Andrew Doig were less than 30 seconds behind, but the gap was increasing, forcing them to concentrate on holding on to 5th. Stalling on stage 4 had not helped. On top of losing second gear, Ian Duncan and Amo Slut were now having difficulty with first, dropping them down 2 places to 6th. They also had to drive harder than the others, being subjected to a 2% penalty for not driving a Group M. Anwar Pandya and George Wangi had been heading for a solid top 10 placing, but the gear selector refused to engage, leaving them with no drive.
The car is perfect, everything, just the selector.
So how do you know it's a selector?
We know because the gear stick is moving on its own.
With only 2 stages remaining, the top 3 were far from settled, and in such an evenly matched event, Carl Tundo's lead of only 32 seconds meant the race would go all the way to the end. There were 4 entries in the Classic Car Cup for the older generation rally cars, led by Stefano Rocca and Franco Donadel in a Datsun 260Z. For a change, Ian Freestone was sitting in the navigator's seat of his own car. Gianluca Schiraldi will drive the car in the East African Safari Classic later in the year, and Ian was showing him the ropes.
We're doing it fairly blind because obviously the Classic doesn't have pace notes. So although I'm reading the notes to myself so that we don't come up against anything unexpected, he's generally driving it blind and he's doing very well.
Gianluca was not as fast as Ian would have been, but put in a sterling performance to bring the car home in 3rd. Aslam and Fahaz Khan in a similar Escort RS were, as usual, pushing the car as hard as it would go. Aslam is one of the few drivers whose rallying career extends so far back that the route was a trip down memory lane. After a thoroughly enjoyable outing, they were placed 2nd.
It's a beautiful route. Whoever chose the route is fantastic. Smooth and very twisty. I mean, just the kind of rallying route we need back. Such a great change from Almantayta and Athi River.
Although they struggled through the water, Stefano Rocca and Franco Donadel were the quickest of the Classics, and by a huge margin. The powerful 260Z didn't miss a beat, and they were the clear winners. They not only won the category, but also came 13th overall.
This team has also won the Classic Rally.
This is tiring, very tiring to drive this car. You have no idea. This morning after the first 2 stages, I thought, I better stop. My hands were aching everywhere. This power steering gives you a kick every night. I think I have broken my toe, unfortunately, but I will check it tomorrow morning.
Congratulations, guys.
Ian Freestone continues to lead the Classic Car Cup ahead of the reigning champion Aslam Khan. Stefano Rocca and Romy Bamra appeared on the board for the first time. In the 2-wheel drive championship, Charles Hinger turned up in new colours, would boost his bid towards the title.
Yeah, I've got a 14-point buffer, so my plan is to make sure that if I don't get a win, then if I get 2nd, that will still be good enough.
As the championship leaders, they were drawn first and led the 8 cars away from the start. Out on the route, they were only 4th quickest through both of the opening stages and then came to a standstill in the water. They lost 10 minutes getting going, and it was now a case of just getting to the finish to gain whatever points they could.
Now, after we went in, my distributor is on the left, so it sucked in some water. that thing was very, very deep. Yeah, so we stalled. After the distributor got some water, the vehicle just stalled, actually in the second.
The lead in the category would change on each stage, with Jasmine Chana and Sudhir Tati taking the early honours, but by service they were down in third, trailing by nearly a minute. The current champions, Leonardo Varesi and Kigondi Koredi, took over the lead on stage 2 and became the car to beat, but then were overcautious through the water and dropped to second by 5 seconds. The two-wheel drives only had to do 4 of the 9 stages of the rally, and it was newcomer James Karimi who took over the lead on stage 3. With Limi Karienya taking a break, Karimi had the advantage of having Kimeli Korero sitting in the navigator's seat. Charles Hinga and Evans Mwenda could not recover the time lost and would eventually finish 6th. They would now have to wait and see if it was enough to hold on to the championship lead. The last to finish were Munir Khan and Sam Jethwa. They had been held up with an electrical problem that left them sitting on the side of the road for 30 minutes.
And you kept stopping every 10 kilometers, so makes you really, really angry when you're driving, something like that, yeah?
When they were going, they had to push hard to stay in the running, which often left them facing the undergrowth. Up the front, the top 3 had one last stage to settle their final positions. Jasmine Chana and Sudhir Tati were unusually off the pace and lost the race to finish 3rd. James Karimi and Kimeli Korero were also caught out by the pace of the others, and instead of driving for the win, lost 50 seconds on the last stage and had to accept second. Leonardo Varesi and Kigondi Koredi went into the last stage totally committed. It was a case of win or bust trying. They were quickest through the stage and not only took the lead, but opened up a margin of over a minute. Winning this event would renew their hopes of defending the championship title.
That confidence of winning, there's nothing like it, you know. We know we're up there. We know the car is good. We know we are good. It's just that you need that confidence boost, your ego, you know, to say yes, yes we can, you know, and then...
Congratulations, guys!
The results revealed how closely fought the event had been, with Leonardo Varesi and Kigondi Koredi out in front by just over a minute. The last 3 had all had problems, and the times were a reflection of how long they'd been stopped. In the championship, Charles Hinga's lead has been eroded to only 8 points. Munir Khan has dropped from 2nd to 4th, and Leonardo Varesi climbs from 5th to 3rd. Back in the main event, the cars continue to pass the hundreds of roadside spectators at 2-minute intervals. Giancarlo Schiraldi with Sonny Waswan were making a return to rallying after a break of nearly a year. Giancarlo is an old name in rallying in Kenya, dating back to 1992 when he finished the safari driving a VW Golf. But his biggest claim to fame was his dramatic role in last year's safari. He claimed to be driving like an old woman on this event, but it was good enough for a respectable 15th place. There were now only 2 stages of rallying remaining, a last chance to go for better positions. For some, it worked, but for others, it didn't. Alex Horsey and Andrew Doig would suffer the most, dropping from 5th to 10th when they went off on the very last bend. The damage left them with no option but to reverse out of the stage and then continue reversing for the next 7 kilometers to reach service. As the Division 3 leaders, they had desperately needed to be classified as finishers.
the second last corner had lots and lots of corrugations. So the brake disc would vibrate very slightly on a very slightly loose wheel bearing, and the pads would get pushed far and far apart. So when I pressed the brakes, it just squeezed the pads together, but didn't actually grip the disc. So when I pressed the brakes, it went zoom, and it didn't slow the car down at all.
With the final stages both repeats, everyone was quicker, including Quentin Mitchell and Tim Challen, who were challenging Izzar Mirza for 8th. They lost the race by 4 seconds and had to accept 9th. Izzar Mirza and Ashad Khan knew Mitchell was attacking and stormed through the last stage. They were a minute faster than they had been earlier and narrowly hung on to 8th. They were also the highest placed crew in Division 2. Alistair Kavanagh and Salim Haji's determination to climb the leaderboard continued. They were quickest through stage 8 and then second fastest through stage 9. By the end, they climbed up the ranks from 18th to finish 7th. The rally had been uncompetitive for Asad Anwar and Kashif Sheikh. Being the first car on the road, they had lost time to the others all the way to the end and would eventually finish 6th. Ian Duncan and Amos Slut continued to have gearbox problems but had mastered a technique to get the most out of the situation. In the closing stages, they even moved up a place to clinch 5th. Although Peter Horsey and Moses Matobu were quicker than they had been earlier, they were destined for 4th. Being the highest placed youngster to finish, Peter was the KCB young star of the event.
Right over brow and easy left into long.
With the time so close, the final stages were tense for the top 3. Azhar Anwar and Julius Gige were on the attack, comfortably winning the last stage, only to learn they had lost second place by 1 second.
We thought there may be a chance to climb up a place, so we went for it. I've always been crying that I can't keep up with these youngsters. Today, I think I've shown that I can keep up.
Both Baldev Chaga and new navigator Raju Semi had performed impeccably, proving that the Subaru is an equal match to the Mitsubishis. Although they drove it as fast as they dared, they were still pipped at the post and had to accept second.
That's a big hand for Raju.
Settled in very well with Raju. Now he's calling and I'm listening and concentrating fully. So I'm getting committed 100%. Tunde went really quickly today, but we'll definitely give him a run for his money. He's not going to get away with that easy.
There seems to be no stopping Carl Tunde and Tim Jessup this year. Even under pressure, they still have more in reserve and they continue to pull away right to the end. They have now mastered the Evo 9 and have become the fastest crew on the circuit, although the real test will be when Lee Rose returns. At the finish, they were declared the winners for the 3rd consecutive event.
3 out of 3. Yeah, wondering how much longer my luck will last. I didn't feel like I was driving very well the first 2 loops. This last loop was fun, but we were slower than this morning, so maybe it was just a feeling, but I was actually driving okay.
The winners of the KCB Microbactin Rally!
Carl Tunde and Tim Jessup had won by 37 seconds. Without the penalty of 2%, Ian Duncan would have been second. Alex Horsey came so close to being out that 10th was a bonus. A disappointing result for Alfir Khan in 21st, a name that should be in the top 10. Carl Tunde is running away with the championship. Now over 100 points ahead, but with 5 rounds remaining, it's far from over. The championship board also reflects the standings in Division 1. In Division 2, Quentin Mitchell and Izzar Mirza equal at the top of the table, having dislodged Dinesh Sitania. But it's all so close that the competition will be one to watch. Alex Horsey may be misplaced in Division 3, but being a newcomer, he will still have to prove himself. For now, he has a 13-point lead over Ben Shemi. In the KCB Youngstar Challenge, the drivers under the age of 27 years old, Alex Horsey also leads, but the points are still too close to make any predictions yet.